Today on Tricro Studios, we do a high gain amp shootout between the Laney Ironheart 120 and the Mesa Boogie 3-channel 100 watt, so not the multi-watt dual rectifier. So I would like to once again reiterate that this is just a high gain amp shootout, so you're not going to hear any cleans, any breakup tones, or any soft jazz or anything like that. Just a little bit of Again, I know I sound really stupid when I do that, but it's okay. So I do have two sound samples today, the first of which is in drop C, and that's a more balanced EQ type setting. And the second of which is also in drop C, and that's a little more on the scoop side. Both amps are recorded at quite high volumes, and I think you can hear that in the recordings. right, so there you go. There are the two sound samples for the Shootout high gain versus, the Laney Ironheart 120 versus the Mesa Boogie 3-channel 100 watt, so not the multi-watt dual rectifier. So at this point, I generally like to go over kind of what I've gained from doing a shootout like this. And it is more kind of what I expected. The Laney Ironheart 120 is an extremely versatile amp. And I'm always shocked that it doesn't have a better reputation than it does. It's not one of those, like, you know what I mean? It's when you think of amps, for some reason you don't think of Laney or the Laney Ironheart. You can really do a ton of stuff here. And I think on its own, so not in comparison with the dual rectifier here, it sounds great. It sounds fantastic. I think in the recordings, I probably should have turned it down a tiny bit, but I was having too much fun. But the Ironheart itself, there's a lot of mids to it. It's a British amp, so there's a lot of mids to it. You can get quite a bit of low end. It also has different push-pulls for all of the EQ, and there's just a lot of options that go along with it. However, when you put it in comparison with a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, it may sound like there's only mids in the recordings and no low end and no high end. Just because it's a very stark comparison. You're going to hear, and then the dual rectifier comes in. It has that low end to it, which a lot of people will probably say that it sounds scooped, which is not the right way to describe it. But it's a very deep amplifier. So again, I kind of knew that that's what I was going to be getting into, and I knew that in order to kind of make it seem like there's some a little more fairness, I guess you would say, in the comparison, I did have to go a little more extreme on the EQ for the Laney. Otherwise, it would sound like a drier, like, rock amp. And both of them as well are boosted with an Ibanez TS9 with the same settings. The Laney Ironheart has its own internal boost. However, what I found was the TS9, at least in this instance here, gave a better overall sound than using the internal boost. But I've had a lot of success with using the internal boost and getting really good sounds out of usually like rock tones and stuff like that. But yeah, I did want to mention there with the Ironheart and the dual rectifier, I used an Ibanez TS9. There's a lot of people, some people just get really angry when you boost Mesa Boogie dual rectifier with a TS9 or anything else, because a lot of people mistake the fact that when you're using the boost, it's generally to gain a little more earlier saturation, but like you're boosting the guitar signal going into the amp. But a lot of people will think that, oh, he doesn't know how to dial in the dual rectifier, which, sure, okay, I guess. But a lot of people think that, those people think that you only ever boost with the TS9. It depends on the scenario that you're going through. What I always do is I'll try it without the boost first, and then I'll record without the boost, and then I'll record with the boost, and I'll kind of A/B both of them and see which one sounds a little more pleasing to what I'm playing at the time. So you don't always have to boost either of these amps. For this high gain scenario, the Ironheart, I really felt that you did need a boost. Suffice it to say, though, both of these amps consider myself very, very lucky to own. I use both of these amps. I actually think I used the Ironheart in an overall, like, general type of a guitar setting more than I use the dual rectifier, just because I will stand by and say it's definitely a more versatile amp than the dual rectifier. Not that a dual rectifier isn't versatile. The dual rectifier definitely has that specific sound, whereas you can kind of mask and get around certain sounds with the Ironheart a little better than the dual rectifier. The Ironheart also has a lot more options to it. Like I said, there's a lot of push-pulls for each type of EQ setting. And as well, it does have a resonance and presence control, whereas the dual rectifier, well, I'd be scared of a resonance control on a dual rectifier, to be honest. But it only has presence, but it's for each individual channel. The Laney Ironheart, a lot of people don't understand that the dynamics knob is not anything special. It's a resonance control. It's not like this magic thing. It's a resonance control. And same with tone. That's a presence control. I've heard different descriptions from owners of Laney Ironhearts where they make it seem like there's some magic thing, but it's literally just resonance and presence controls. Either way, I don't want to keep yammering on. Both of these amps are phenomenal options. You may find that the Ironheart was more suited to what you're looking for. You may find that the dual rectifier is more suited to what you're looking for. I look for all of them because I'm a nut. I'm a musician that loves musical instruments and amps to put his musical instruments through. Anyway, thanks for watching.